In its quest to provide an open forum for discussion of controversial issues, this station allows hosts and their guests to express themselves without any significant censorship. You are advised that any view expressed by the host or their guest are not necessarily the views of the owners or management of TogiNet Radio, Togi Entertainment, or the Owners Group, Inc.
It's time for Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues today, with Sandra Beck and Christy Holly. Ladies, Motherhood Talk Radio is here to give you a powerful platform by giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. Motherhood Talk Radio has interviews with best-selling authors, gurus of happiness, and women of interest who every single day make our world a better place for our families. Motherhood Talk Radio, powered by Motherhood Incorporated, is on the air now. Moms, this really is your show. Motherhood Talk Radio. And now, here are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, mothers. We are here today, post-Memorial Day, with Christy Holly.
Hey, girls.
And do we have Linda on the line?
Oh, how you doing?
Yay, there we are. Well, we are going to talk for a little bit, Christy and I, about our Memorial Day weekend. How was your Memorial Day?
My Memorial Day was great.
I heard you went to like a fabulous party at this amazing woman's house.
Yes, I did. We had a great time. Got the kids all tired out in the pool after many, many hours of swimming, and had a few cocktails. And
we did. We honored our fallen soldiers with the bottom of a bottle.
That's right. Cheers.
Cheers.
And it was at your house, right?
It was. Imagine that. Imagine that. We did. We had a rock-in party at my house. We had about 60 people over the course of the day, and we had some service people there, servicemen and servicewomen. We had a lady Marine. We had a couple Marines. We had a FBI guy. We had a Army guy. I think we all living, thankfully.
Yes.
And I want to say quickly to everybody listening out here that I want to wish everybody a happy post-Memorial Day, and that I hope that everybody, when they were having fun, took a minute and thought about the people who did fight for our freedom, the freedom to be on the radio, the freedom to choose to be a stay-at-home mom, a working mother. In a lot of cultures around the world, we don't have those opportunities, and we have those opportunities here in the States. And even though, our country does have a lot of problems, we struggle with a lot of issues, we do have our freedom to, live the life that we choose to live, especially as moms. And I think that's really powerful.
Yes. Thank you.
How was that?
Thank you.
How was that?
Servicemen and women.
Servicemen and women. I do. I have a lot of girlfriends that have served. I'm going to put this out to my girlfriend Jazz in New York City, who drove a gas tanker in the first Gulf War. My girlfriend Debbie, who served in the Gulf War, and she was undercover drug busting people for drugs, which was very fun. And not to mention Janet. I'm going to put this out to Janet, my friend who was a Lady Marine and met her husband in the Marine Corps. And so I'm really proud of my friends who have served. And, of course, the Marines down at the 3rd Anglico, they're all straight up, 70 of them. Woohoo! Yahoo! Semper Fi. So good Memorial Day, I think.
I think so, too.
Good Memorial Day. So today's topic, we're going to talk about travel today.
Traveling with your kids or just traveling?
I think traveling with our kids is a good topic because Linda Kagan, who's our guest today, is the owner and operator of a company that, among other things, produces these neat little gadget gazmo things called travel sticks, which are really neat. So we're going to talk about what they are, how to get one, and because she's a mom of 2, I think it's really interesting that she can share with us, being a working mother, and she's also an attorney, so we're hoping she's not going to sue us at the end of the show if I get my information wrong. But, a lot of good stuff, Have you ever traveled with your kids?
You know what, not on an airplane or anything, just we've only traveled by car in a controlled environment.
A vehicular environment.
Yes, that's it so far. I'm a little nervous to travel with them on the airplane and stuff. I just, It freaks me out a little bit.
It's a lot. It's a lot, I'll tell you. You know, when my mom was really sick and I had to take my kids back east, I had to fly into JFK. I flew from Los Angeles to JFK in a super overcrowded flight at Christmas time. And you know, and it was a nightmare. I'll be honest with you. It was a total nightmare. I mean, Zach screams. When Zach wasn't screaming, Max was screaming.
Just thinking about it, it's a nightmare.
You know, and I had my iPod, and I was trying to, like, plug myself in and, like, hide from the flight attendants. I was hiding from the people next to me. At least we were 3 in a row. You know, I was sitting in the middle, and I had Max on one side and Zach on the other. Max was on the window seat, and he kept going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down with that stupid shade. And the people in front of me, the people behind us, you know, were looking. And then I had an argument with the flight attendant because the car seat, like when you travel with an infant in a car seat, and it makes sense, they have to be in the window seat because if you put the car seat where I had it in the aisle seat, no one can get out. You know, so if you need to exit the airplane quickly. And the flight attendant was very gracious in explaining this to me. And I said, okay, well, now that you've explained that to me, you can explain to my 3-year-old why he doesn't get the window seat. And she took off.
She took off?
She did. She's like, I got to go get drinks or something. Yeah, she totally bailed on me. But so, yeah, that started out the flight really great. And got to JFK and landed. Got the double stroller, of which, you know, the kids had been in lockdown, you know, for 5.5 hours. Got to JFK, and I was making a connecting flight to Buffalo. And at one point, I kid you not, I had these little backpacks that had hooks on them. I tied my toddler. My other one was 1, and he was at least staying put as much as he could, but he was tied into the seat. And then my other toddler was... At one point, he was almost horizontal. He was trying to pull the stroller one direction so hard, and he was leaning his body, just doing everything he could do to push, and he wanted to go to, like, some, you know, novelty store where he saw toys or things like that. And, you know, I remember that trip very clearly because this woman came up to me, and she said, I can't believe you have tied your child to the stroller. And I was like, okay, first of all, didn't ask for your opinion. Second of all, if you want to watch them, I'll untie them. But it's that kind of unsolicited advice that, you know, it happens. I don't know why people are compelled to do that. I mean, if you're on the radio and you give unsolicited advice, that's one thing. But in an airport, I mean, really?
Like, do you really go up to somebody and tell them that? I mean, you can think what you want to think, but when do you get it through your head that you're going to march up to somebody and say something to them? I mean, unless they're hitting them or something, you know, doing something, you know, they're beating them or something. But, you know, people that don't have kids or that have one kid,
right? They don't understand
or
the
two
power
kids
of multiple.
Sometimes, yeah, you know, it's they're not leashes,
right? They're not leashes.
They're to keep them. They're not for, you know, to walk your kids. They are for safety.
They are for safety reasons. Right. I did not walk up to that woman and say, hey, the 70s called, they want your hair back. But, you know, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens when you travel. And I've been sick with my kids. I've been all over the world with one of my kids. And I've not taken 2 kids overseas. That I'm a little nervous about that, I'll be honest. Many things I can do, that's not one of them.
No, I'm sure you could do it. It'd just be so stressful.
Yeah. Well, you're only in the car stage. We're going to get you on an airplane.
Well, I would just, I don't know. I could never do it by myself, you know, with 3 small kids.
I don't even know if they would even let you fly with 3 small kids. I think you only have 2 hands. How would you get them all off the aircraft, you know, in a crisis situation? I don't know. I don't know if you can.
Suitcases, luggage, the whole thing, we'll drive.
Does Linda, do you know, can you even fly with more than 1 kid, like 5 and under?
I don't think there are any regulations that would inhibit how many children you fly with.
Even if they're little? Because you would think, like Christy's kids are, 6, 4, and 2. At least a 6-year-old can kind of walk on her own, but you have 2 hands. Mm-hmm. One would go one way, one would go the other. It would be Sophie's choice, and then there'd just be the other kid sitting out there not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I don't think they have the ability to regulate that. I think people self-regulate, like Christy was saying, like I wouldn't do that by myself with 3. So I think, people typically decide on their own, like, to not put themselves through more hell than they can bear.
Yes.
Yes, we do. We do. I mean, it is difficult traveling with kids, and there's so much to remember, and there's, it's like I remember, I was traveling somewhere with Max. I want to think, it was probably somewhere up in Canada, and, he was sick, and I didn't have his birth certificate with me because, it's like you could go from my, where I grew up in Buffalo, you could just go across the Peace Bridge, zip across into Buffalo, from Buffalo to Toronto very easily. And I would, pop up there with my son and go shopping and, do all sorts of things. And he got sick up there. And I remember, the health care was really great because they allowed us to, get care without having to pay, which I really appreciated. But I didn't have any of his documentation. I didn't have his birth certificate. I mean, this was 6 years ago, so we didn't think about, traveling with birth certificates, traveling with passports. I mean, so much has changed, in light of the recent events. But in those days, I didn't travel with stuff.
Yeah, it's dramatically changed, and I would say you're right. That time frame, 5 or 6 years ago. Since then, there are more and more restrictions, and there are more requirements, especially when you're traveling with your kids alone, without the other parent. If they do have another parent, there's authorizations that are required at the border, and they're asked for quite often in Canada and Mexico because those borders are so porous, and unfortunately a lot of people do try to sneak kids out, either a parent who's escaping, for one reason or another, and also people who are, very sadly stealing children. So the requirements for those people who are traveling and that, a child's traveling with both parents have increased dramatically. And that's one of the reasons that I created the different travel products, which are, affidavits and things that require the parent who's not traveling to sign off, and that way the parent who is traveling isn't stopped either at the border if they're driving or if they're trying to get on a plane. And a lot of people have been stopped, and the thing is, most airlines check, but some do and some don't, and so it gives people a false sense of security that, it's
well,
okay,
Linda, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm going to bring you back after the break. We're going to talk about you, talk about your travel sticks, talk about the forms that are available. I'm here with Christy Holly. I'm Sandra Beck at Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll see you after the break.
Mom, here's your show, Motherhood Talk Radio, giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. This is Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll be right back after these. Girlfriended is on TogiNet. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, with your hosts Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. This show is your chance to share, learn, laugh, and connect with other women. The Girlfriended principle was born out of loss.
Lisa had recently had her mother pass away from cancer, and my mom was murdered. A man just walking into a room and started a 23-second shooting spree.
I think one of the things we both realized going through those tragedies that you can be extremely okay and be extremely sad.
Check out girlfriended.com and then be a part of Girlfriended, the radio show. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, they don't totally understand that emotional side to them like another woman does. And I think that's so important just to have somebody that you go, she gets me.
Check out the website, girlfriended.com. Don't miss Girlfriended with Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. What's your story? Are you living it? Well, you could be. It's What's Your Story with Hillary Bilbrey. Friday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Her passion is helping others discover, create, and live their personal brands. Yep, you heard me. You have a brand. No different than Coke, Pepsi, or Nike. You are a walking, talking, living, breathing brand. You're not a logo. You're not a tagline. The choices you make become the path you take. This is your brand. Now, live your story. Your brand is not just what you say it is. It's also what others say it is. So what are you communicating? And how can you create an authentic brand? We'll take on these challenges with What's Your Story? Every week, Hillary will feature teens, moms, and organizations that are learning and living their story. Now, her passion is to help others discover, create, and live their personal brands. To find out more, go to inspiredbyfamily.com. It's What's Your Story with Hillary Bilbrey. Friday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues. For more information, check out the website, motherhoodtalkradio.com. Now, let's get back to the show with your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, moms. We are here at Motherhood Talk Radio. We have a great guest today, Christy. I mean, she's so full of information.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Well, I can't wait to hear more.
Well, and you've seen some of her product, which is pretty cool.
Yes, I have. I'm excited about that. The travel sticks.
They are really cool. So we have Linda Kagan as our guest today, and Linda, I would like you to. I know you've talked a little bit in the first segment about traveling overseas, but I'd like our listeners to know a little bit about you personally, professionally, and then if you can tell us what led you to make the travel sticks. I think that's, I think it's really interesting.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to. Well, I'm an attorney and a mom of two. My kids are 10 and 12 now, but when I first came up with the idea of creating travel products specifically focused on the needs of parents and kids and those who travel with them, was about 3 years ago. And since it's broadened, obviously, to adult athletes and business people who travel, international travelers, et cetera, as well as pet owners. But anyway, the idea was to essentially, meld my abilities as an attorney to draft clear and concise documents that provide not just the legal language, but also, practical fields of information, doctor contact information, specialists, dentists, the insurance information, basic information about your kids, their blood type, allergies to medicine, allergies to food, any conditions or sensitivities, and the like on a 2-page document that will enable you to make sure as a parent that if you're providing someone with authority, for instance, to travel with them, to make medical decisions in your absence, whether you've taken off on a trip or someone's traveling with a child and may need to make a medical decision at some point in time, is to make sure that people have in hand what they actually need to effectuate the authority that they should have as an adult with respect to the child that they're caring for, whether it's a grandparent, babysitter, caretaker, family friend, or some other brave soul who's able to handle children without the parent around. And it kind of grew over the last 2 years from, the ability to create forms like that on our online site to our new
Now, what's
product.
the domain of your online site?
Well, the online site is forms4travel.com.
So forms, FORMS, 4 travel, TRAVEL.com.
Exactly. And on that site, you can order the forms in hard copy. They are delivered to people on a special patented paper that has a heavy-duty watermark. If anyone tried to, for instance, copy and alter where the child's going, the dates they're allowed to travel, who they're traveling with, etc. And obviously, you can also purchase on that site our new product, which is the travel sticks, which both of you have mentioned. And that product is a culmination of all the things that I really, wanted to take the practical and important stuff we need as parents or kids need when they travel without their parents and put it on a digital device that's really easy to use, easy to access. You actually, once you've loaded everything on, they all come with 3 forms, which are typically a travel form, a medical consent form, and either another type of either of those forms, or a family rules form, which just identify, when your kid goes to sleep, what kind of chores they have, any, specific, conditions that you need to be aware of, triggers, etc., doctor information, nearby friends, someone to have them play with if you're traveling and leaving them behind with someone. But anyway, all the forms are, the type of form that you open it up. It's just a PDF form, but you literally type right in from your computer all the information you want into the field, and then you can print it out, hand it to someone, or you can print it out, have it signed. If some of them require notaries, so obviously you'd have to sign it in front of the notary, and then you can scan it back into your computer and save it on the flash drive. And what's neat is that, as you both know, the flash drives look like a credit card with a little USB piece that flips out. And that way, because of the shape of it, you can keep it in your wallet, in your purse, in your travel pack, a child's backpack. It's something that you're not going to lose. You're going to keep it safe. And what's really neat, too, is that they have 2 gigabytes of memory. So in addition to the forms that we provide on the travel sticks, you can load up a copy of your children's birth certificate, their passport, pictures, videos, music, things that you'll need to keep them busy and preoccupied with, for instance, if you're on a long flight, things like that.
Now, what do these look like? And before we describe what it looks like, let's talk a little bit about a notary, because Christy, you happen to be a notary.
I happen to be a notary. Yes, I do.
And why do notaries exist? Like, what does a notary do, and why do we need them? I mean, Linda talks about these notarized documents. We hear those terms a lot. Why do you notarize something?
Well, I notarize something because if someone needs, I'm just verifying a signature and making sure someone is who they say they are. I'm not exactly sure. Thank you, Sandra. I don't know why I do it, but that's what I do. No, they need, so it's like some of the court documents need to be notarized to go out of state for a parent. You might have to, I don't know. I don't know if it's for
Linda? You want to help us out? The attorney?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The notary function, while it seems limited in terms of what you actually do, which is you are verifying someone's signature. For legal documents, that's essential, because if the signature isn't verified by a notary, that means that nobody knows if the person who signed it is in fact the name that appears. And the notary provides that really critical function of verifying that. And notaries are trained, they're licensed, and they are attesting to the veracity and the truth, obviously, of that the person signing it is who they say they are, and therefore, based on these particular, these documents, travel documents, their medical consent forms, things like that, the hospital, airport, safety inspector, whoever is looking at them, will be able to rely upon the signature because it's been notarized, and that's very powerful.
It is very powerful, and we hear that term a lot, notary. For the longest time I hear, that has to be notarized, it has to be notarized, and, it's like if you're not used to, if you're a stay-at-home mom or even a lot of working moms, if you don't, really other than like property transactions or legal things, there's not a lot of reasons to have something notarized. And I remember, somebody asked me one time, why do you need something notarized? And I'm like, I don't know, and clearly I'm not the only one, but these notarized documents, Linda, do they have a stamp or something on them so that when they're scanned and put in the travel stick, is that how it works?
Well, at the end of the documents that require a notary, there's what's called a certificate of acknowledgement, and that's the phrase that the notary is signing off on, saying that the person who signed the document has proven to them that they are, in fact, that person, and verifying their signature. That's on every form that we produce and that are on the travel sticks that require a notary, and the notary will sign, you sign the document where your name would appear, authorizing whatever, whether it's travel or medical consent, et cetera, and you sign it in front of the notary because they're witnessing your signature, so it's important to wait until you're in front of them, literally in front of them, and they will sign it at the same time you do, and they will stamp it with a stamp that indicates their name, their license, their notary license, et cetera, as well as, the date until which their license as a notary would expire, therefore adding again more validity to the signature process. And then what you would simply do is you'd take the document that's all signed and pretty and notarized, and you'd use your printer or scanner. Pretty much all printers in the last few years have a built-in scanner, so it's very easy to use. And then you'd scan it right into your computer as a document, a PDF document, and you'd save it to the travel sticks, and it's in your USB port of any computer, and then you unplug it, put it in your wallet, because again, it looks like a credit card, and all of them have really nice graphics. I'm sure you two have seen the ones that I've sent to you. They have pictures, the pet ones have a cute picture of a dog, there's a cute picture of a cat on the cat one. The traveling parent versions and the business traveler versions have a really beautiful globe. And we have obviously packages specifically designed for grandparents as well as relatives or family friends. And so, the imagery is really, corresponds to who's traveling. And this way, it's something that's easily identifiable. And on the back of each one, on the other side, is not just the logo, but it says travel and medical information, and then the word important. So if something happened and you were either, just unable to, really focus and tell someone what your blood type was or what the child's allergies to medicine are, et cetera, you could hand them this, or they'd go through your wallet and find it, and they'd realize, wait a minute, there's really important medical information on this. Let's boot it up. They have a no software sign on them, so, people in the medical world won't be concerned that the stick itself or the flash drive would, have an issue with their computer system. And this way they can, obviously, all the forms that we have provided information, and they'll have a treasure trove of info. And I know,
especially they would have medical information if your kids have special needs, if they have medical needs, if they have dietary needs. Right. I know I've got friends who have kids who are on gluten-free, wheat-free. They have, was Kaylee has a banana allergy. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there that the medical professionals would need to be aware of in order to treat this child or this adult. We are here today with Linda Kagan. She is the owner of a great company that produces these travel sticks, also some forms for travel. You can check her out on her site, www.forms, F-O-R-M-S, 4travel.com. And we are going to be back talking about how these little devices work, how we can use them with text, and we'll see you after the break.
Mom, here's your show, Motherhood Talk Radio, giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. This is Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll be right back after these. No more mommy madness. The Sanity Hour is the antidote. It's the Sanity Hour with Ann Dunawald. Monday evenings at 6, 7 Central. Part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com. Join Ann as she guides parents through issues that arise from simply living in our current high-energy, high-pressure culture of perfection and achievement. Moms and dads are bombarded daily. Sign up for this, buy that, enrich your child's life, enhance your child's development, worry about this danger, provide this experience. Ann Dunawald, Ph.D., is here to help. She's a licensed psychologist in independent practice in Dallas, specializing in women's mental health issues. And her mission here is to help women sort out the guilt and anxiety of the unrealistic demands of motherhood on a daily basis. For more information on her and her books, go to AnnDunawald.com. That's AnnDunewald.com. Arming women against the pressures of modern motherhood. Here to give moms balance and expectations, cutting themselves some slack. It's the Sanity Hour with Ann Dunawald. Monday evenings at 6, 7 Central. Part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com. Let's chat it up with Bloom Talk with Barb Scala on TogiNet. Thursday afternoons at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. And find out how women are growing, blossoming, and blooming in their friendships and careers, health, and so much more. It's Bloom Talk with Barb Scala. Check out our website, bloomwithbarb.com. Whether you want to transplant your life or just do a little pruning, Bloom Talk will inspire you to cultivate the lifestyle you want to live. Join lifestyle coach and co-author of Sanity Savers, Barb Scala, each week on Bloom Talk and sprout your dreams. Grow your life.
I hear a lot from women. I want meaning in my life. I want a fulfilling life. I want to do something that's exciting. And I can control my life instead of my life controlling me. I can tell the world this is who I am and this is what I'm all about.
Barb will introduce you to dynamic guests and real women who are redesigning, rebuilding, and reinventing their own lives. And Bloomstorm how you can dream, create, and grow the lifestyle you want to live. It's Bloom Talk with Barb Scala. Thursday afternoons at 3 Eastern, 2 Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues. For more information, check out the website, motherhoodtalkradio.com. Now, let's get back to the show with your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, Moms! This is Sandra Beck and Christy Holly. We're a little asleep at the wheel today despite our Diet Coke. That was smooth, wasn't
I know.
it?
We need Mountain Dew. We need to switch to Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I got the Diet Coke thing going. What do you have?
Well, I'm done with my Diet Coke. Now I'm going to switch over.
Well, there you go.
Turn it on.
We're going to turn it on. We're going to turn it around for this third segment. We are here with Linda Kagan. She is the owner of a company that produces these really cool little devices. I mean, Christy, you got to admit, they are pretty cool. They look like a credit card. They have this little thingy that flips out, like a USB port thing that you could stick in, and they have, how much memory do they have on there, Linda? You've got a couple different opportunities, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have a 2 gigabyte version and a 4 gigabyte version.
So is it just, I mean, like multiple people can be on the travel stick, or is it just like one per person?
No, absolutely. I mean, you can put everybody in the family's information on it. It's 2 gigabytes and 4 gigabytes, obviously, is a tremendous amount of memory. So you can put videos, you can put music, pictures, actual forms like PDFs and Word documents take up a fraction of the space. So it's actually, really great because all of our forms are reusable. So, if you have, since all the forms for kids allow for 2 children on each form. So if you have 4 kids, you just open one form up, fill it out, open the form up again, fill it out for the other 2 kids. And when different trips come up or different situations or different people you'd like to give, for instance, medical consent authority to, then you just open up the form and print it out again and save it with the new information.
So they're reusable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, when we look at them, I mean, they're really neat, and they're cool, and they're, well-designed. It's like I would love to carry one in my wallet just because I think, when I like the scuba one. But, it's like I just feel like so high-tech, so, like, and it does help me feel in control. I have to be honest. I think of, like, if my parents, my kids' grandparents were traveling with them, to have all these documents, to give the, medical power of attorney or whatever the thing is where somebody has the right to treat your kid in your absence. We were talking about this last week.
We were talking about this last week, and since we have an attorney on the phone, maybe I just want to know if those need to be freshly dated when you give them to a new caretaker.
Like what we were talking about last week, Linda, the show last week was covering insurance. We had Nicole Schwartz, the benefits administrator for All Access Benefits, or Access Your Benefits. .com. And when she dropped her daughter off with me, she stumped me because she handed me this like release form that says the person in possession of this document or something has the right to consent for medical care on behalf of my child. I had never seen something like that. Though it didn't have a date on it. And so we were wondering, and not that we're going to hold you to this, but could you, in layman's term, non-attorney hat terms,
yeah,
would it be valid? Because she didn't put a date on it because she wanted it to be good in perpetuity.
Yeah, well, the best way I can answer that is all of our documents for medical consent as well as the travel have a date range that you must specify, and that way in some situations you won't need some medical clinics or some situations with respect to medical care might not require a date, but I would err on the side, but this is speaking both as an attorney, as a parent, the clearer the document is about the authority, the better. Because remember, they're lawyers at all these clinics and medical doctors and even your dentist. And they're going to be very cautious about using a form that doesn't specify the dates the authority is in effect. So what we do on all of our forms that relate to the kids is it says one of the last lines is, this is in effect from blank date to blank date. And that way you eliminate any concern on the provider's part that the document is currently valid.
Well, and that's such an amazing thing because, normally I make fun of attorneys. I won't make fun of you because I like you, and you're consented to be on my show and do all this great stuff. But it is, you're right. It's like, the clearer you can make it. And I think that, to me, is like the biggest selling point of these travel sticks. Because, a lot of people can say, oh, well, I have documents, that'll do this, like Nicole. I mean, as much as we love Nicole, we're like, well, why isn't there a date on it? Should there be a date on it? But these travel stick documents are actually generated by an attorney.
Yep.
So, I mean, to me, that gives me great, confidence in the product. It gives me super confidence in that, if the stuff you put together, Linda, as an attorney, as a parent, who's creating these documents for use not only in the United States but to take overseas, you've got your international travel stick that has, different documents on it. I have a real feeling of security that I'm buying a product that actually would stand up to its name.
Yeah, and, we've been selling these forms for almost 2.5 years now. And quite honestly, I've never gotten a complaint. No one's ever written to me and said, I was in the situation and I relied on your form and it didn't work. Never happened. 100%, terrific results. And, for me, just my own personal integrity, it's essential. I created these documents with my children in mind. So I don't want anyone to be in a situation where, it would be questioned. That's why they're written very clearly and concisely. The fields that people do have to fill in specific information like kids' names, blood type, the name of the person who's going to be caring for them in, multiple different types of situations are very easy and clear. It's not like a puzzle you have to figure out. They're written in a way that, as you're packing and trying to remember all the different things that you need for your trip or your child's trip, you're going to actually be able to sit down in about 2 minutes, fill it out, and you're going to have a level of peace and security that you otherwise wouldn't have because you wouldn't do it. Or you'd be searching on the Internet at the last minute trying to find a document that made sense, but you can't necessarily rely on it because they're all different. And by the way, the ones that you find that are free are worth what you pay for them. Nothing. They don't have any real specific information. They aren't laid out in a way that is really usable and easy to use. And usually they require that you give them your email address in exchange for this free form that's not really terrific to begin with. And then all of a sudden you're getting, spam email from all sorts of folks. So, it's important to create, documents and a product that has integrity and at a really affordable price. I mean, on our website now, they're $26.95 each, which I'll tell you, for even getting a fax delivered at a hotel is pretty expensive these days. Or trying to use a fax at a hotel, you wouldn't have to do that if you have the travel sticks. You've got everything packed in there. And say you're a traveling parent, which I was, and that was obviously the genesis of me creating all these things. Well, I have everything, all those medical consents and all those different things on my travel stick. So I can just use my email. I just plug it into the computer, and if the school needs something or the clinic or the doctor or, the hospital near where we live, I can just send it to them if for some reason the hard copy form that I left with the person caring for the kids lost it or just didn't happen to bring it with them to the park when, of course, an accident happens. No problem. I can email to them instantaneously.
That's amazing. I mean, it's just, I would never think to carry this stuff around. I mean, Nicole was saying last week, she was talking about this binder that she carries with her,
Right.
It's truly, she's got 2 kids and they've got, some different health things, and then she's got stuff for her husband. I mean, and she's, we know as women we're ultimately responsible for the care of our families, especially, with respect to a lot of this stuff. And to have everything in one place, like one location, and then to be able to stick it in your wallet. That's my favorite part of the whole thing, because I do, my company, Motherhood Incorporated, we work with a lot of tech products. We work with, different types of USB-based devices, and it's very rare that I get super excited about something, but I did get excited about this because I couldn't lose it. I mean, I could. Don't get me wrong.
What if you do lose it? Like, is that information, like, do you put that personal information on there? I mean, is it going to be worth it for somebody to get on there? What can they take from you? I don't know. You just worry about all that kind of thing.
That's a great question. And what we do is on each travel stick there's a pamphlet with lots of information, and there's a special section that says if you're going to put something on this that you wouldn't necessarily want someone to be able to access other than in an emergency medical situation, then you can, using your Adobe Acrobat or whatever program that you have on your particular operating system, you can create a password-protected document when you save it onto the travel stick. Oh. So it's really a personal, if you're going on a business trip and you want to put your business plan on there, but you prefer no one look at it but you, then you just you just save it when in the process of saving it to the travel stick, you would save it as a password-protected document, and that way, you don't have to worry about it. Now, the goal is obviously to allow to have the medical and other, minor, less, valuable information accessible, because if you're unconscious or you're just busy because you knocked your head or whatever, you don't want someone to have to guess what your password was.
Right. I'm just bleeding out on the table. My password is FUNNY.
Right. I mean, I have a hard enough remembering my password when I'm conscious,
Me too. That's a capital F with a little U.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to password protect those documents.
Yeah, so it's great because this enables you to do whatever you need to do, whatever your personal, safety issues and concerns are. In fact, we're launching a new site. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, it'll be up and running, and it's called mytravelsticks.com.
Now, how do you spell sticks in that case? Because we've got some debate going on over here.
Yeah, it's STIX.
So mytravelsticks, MyTravelsTix.com.
Exactly. And it's because we have a line of over 30 different versions. Everything from, as I mentioned earlier, your dog and your cat, to your kids, to you. I mean, we're all weekend warrior athletes, right? And Sandra scuba dives, and, I like to, run and work out and cycle, and we have them for every specific type of activity, both for adults and teenagers. And we also have a new version called Older and Wiser, and that's for our parents who have all types of medicines that they take, and every time you have to take them to a new doctor, they need a list of everything they have, and you're, dragging that nasty old binder around, and it's not really updated.
I'm going to cut you off again, Linda, because it's what I do. We need to go to break. We're going to come back after the break. We're going to talk about the different type of travel sticks that are available, and we're also going to talk about how they can be used for pets.
Mom, here's your show, Motherhood Talk Radio, giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. This is Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll be right back after these. Combine Snide and Remark, and you've got Snark. Combine Lisa Mena and Valia Alvarez on Monday nights, and you've got Deep Dish Snark. Monday nights at 9, 8 Central, part of the Her Insight Network. When you've had enough at work or at home, and you're ready to laugh, join Lisa and Valia for their no BS look at the world and the people in it. They'll be serving up a no-holds-barred take on pop culture, current events, entertainment, and family matters, with segments like Accidentally Helpful, TV is Now My Hobby, and Who Sucks This Week. Deep Dish Snark delivers something for every girl who enjoys life with a dash of sarcasm. Lisa Manna is a former TV news anchor turned stay-at-home mom. She's making sure if anyone screws up her kids, it's her. Valia Alvarez suffers life as a jack of all trades, mistress of none, by juggling a PR career, marriage, motherhood, and more. Don't miss Deep Dish Snark with Lisa Manna and Valia Alvarez, Monday nights at 9, 8 Central, part of the Her Insight Network, on TogiNet.com. Get ready for the Not So Soccer Mom, Tuesday afternoons at 1 Eastern, noon Central, on TogiNet with Jill Hickey. You name it, from politics to pop culture to Jill's search for the perfect bronzer and chicken salad. The Not So Soccer Mom will weigh in on it all. The sentence, "I have no opinion about that," is one that Jill has never uttered. In the early 90s, Jill finally decided to put her thoughts, opinions, mom advice, love of pop culture, hummus, and Starbucks, working out, cosmetic shopping, and politics into an actual website, and thus NotSoSoccerMom.com was born. Shortly after her fourth child, a boy, Jerome, now she's really got tons of topics to share with you. This is Laugh Out Loud Funny, and we're not kidding. What's a loud Nebraska girl who lived in Little Rock for many years and now is up in the Northeast doing? Chronicling her opinions on everything. The wheels aren't off yet, but it's close. It's the Not So Soccer Mom with Jill Hickey, Tuesday afternoons at 1 Eastern, noon Central, on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues. For more information, check out the website, motherhoodtalkradio.com. Now, let's get back to the show with your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, Moms. We are here with Christy Holly. Hey. And we are also here with Linda Kagan. I can hear you drinking that Mountain Dew on the air.
I'm sorry.
I can hear the ice clink. I'm
sorry.
Like, clink, 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 clink.
It's a hot day.
It is a hot day. It's actually a beautiful day here in sunny Southern California.
Yes, it is.
About 75 and sunny. We might even, I have to work after this. Otherwise, I'd say we could go in the pool, but we will not be doing that. But what we will be doing, we're going to talk about travel sticks.
Yes, let's talk about travel sticks.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of neat different variations on them. I'd like to start with talking about the one that it was created specifically for grandparents and for people who are not middle-aged. Trying to find a tactful way to say older. Was older and wiser, I think, is the product.
Yes, older and wiser, right. Yeah, I mean, this is really, it's interesting. You know, the more I kind of went out there in the world and showed people the new cool toys that I'd created for them and their kids, they were saying to me, you know, quite often that their parents are getting older and have all sorts of, you know, kind of medical situations, and they want to make sure that when they go to different doctors that they're accumulating the right amount of information and up-to-date information, and that way the doctor who's going to treat whatever the next issue is will know what sorts of medications they're taking, that obviously you want to keep them healthy and not allow someone to prescribe something that's going to conflict with it. And, of course, doctors don't want to do that either. So you have to make their lives, you know, possible and their jobs, you know, really relevant. And that way, you know, having the travel stick, even though maybe you're not, you know, taking off for the French Riviera, you're taking off for the specialist office, you want to make sure that you have everything that you need. So, you know, the older and wiser version has a travel healthcare proxy, which is something that appears in all of the adult, you know, sport versions and traveler versions, which identifies who makes decisions for you if for some reason you can't make them for yourself. And it also allows you to put down all the information that you need a physician to treat you and help you in any sort of medical situation, like your, you know, allergies to medicines, food, any current medications you might be taking, contact information for your doctors and your specialists, and your insurance information. And that way, whether you're a college student, of course we have a college student version, or just an adult athlete, you know, going off on a trip, or you're a business person traveling, you have all this information at your fingertips. And, you know, most of us don't even know what our blood types are. So by having these documents and a few minutes to fill them out before you take off on a trip is actually going to be very helpful in a situation where someone's going to need to know that information. And we probably often don't know it for ourselves until we're forced to take a look at it.
It's true. It's true. We don't think about these things until we're forced to. I guess, you know, you can't sell prevention, or maybe we're trying to sell prevention, but, you know, this is so important and it's so necessary, especially when we leave our kids in the care of other people. You know, it makes it easier for them. It means the difference, like for Nicole. Nicole told us a story about how when she was a little girl, she had to sit in the emergency room with her broken arm in incredible pain because there was nobody there to authorize the treatment. And and it wasn't deemed like, was it not medically, it wasn't medically classified as an emergency. And so she suffered, I guess, for a couple hours until finally everybody got to where they needed to go to get whatever needed to be done. And it was really kind of needless. It's important. And now let's, we have a few minutes left in the show. I'd like to talk about pets because we haven't talked about that. And there are pet cards available for cats and dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a cat version and a dog version. And it's really neat. What I've developed with the help of people who know a lot more about dogs and cats than I do, just from having them, the people who actually, are veterinarians and who, write books about dogs and cats, and Tracy Hotch, one of them, she helped me, set up a few notches. And what we have are dog care profiles as well as a cat care profile. And on it, you use everything from the different types of vaccinations that your pets had, when they eat, how to prepare their food, when they exercise, how they exercise, if they have a dog walker, if they, have a groomer, what the groomer, contact information is, as well as if they have a chip implanted in them, there's a place to check off and identify the brand of the microchip. And, information about a nearby relative or family friend or guardian angel who knows the animal and can help and assist someone who's taking care of them who may run into a problem, as well as their veterinarian, all their contact info. If you have a dog and, like I live in New York City, you have to know which, taxis will actually take a dog. So the contact information for that. And, that's true in probably most major cities, where you have to know,
I'm going to jump in here with my dog story because anytime I can memorialize my ultimate favorite dog, Misty, I can. I was in Australia, and the girl watching my dog lost her, and then my dog tried to go from Silver Lake, which is a kind of a borough or a part of Los Angeles out here, back to Beverly Hills where I was living at the time, and she was actually trying to navigate all these city streets, and these kids found her, called my cell phone, which my girlfriend had. I didn't take my cell phone to Australia, and there was a big issue over how to recover the dog because it was during the day, and the taxi service would not take a live animal unless it was caged, and because this was Beverly Hills in my office, they actually sent a limousine. So my stupid little dog got picked up and driven. It was like $150 for this limousine ride. But they picked her up. They were the only ones who would pick up a live, uncrated animal and return her to where she needed to be. And, my dog rode in a limousine by herself. But it's true, Linda, isn't it? I mean, to try to get pet care or try to get transportation, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And, the whole idea is if you're asking someone to care for someone you care about, whether it's a child, grandparent, or a pet, you want to make their lives easy by actually providing them the information that they're going to need to use. And guaranteed, if you're not there, this stuff is going to happen.
It's true, right. The minute you're not there is when it's going to happen.
Right.
So where can we find these travel sticks? Are they available online? I know you have a website with some helpful information.
Yep. Currently they're available on www.forms4travel.com. And by June 15th, the angels willing, they will be available on a new website dedicated just to the travel sticks line of products. And that is called mytravelsticks.com. So they're $26.95 each. The pet versions are actually $19.99. They're a little less expensive. And, we also are a socially responsible company, and we donate a percentage of our profit to environmental groups, to VitaWe and other types of organizations, kid camp organizations that help fund scholarships for kids who can't afford to go to camp, and all sorts of things. Because, I have two little kids, and fortunately, I'm able to provide for them fairly well. And I realized that, we have to give back, and I want to teach them that if you create a company and you create products that people buy, then you need to give back to your community.
That's awesome.
Now, Linda, from an attorney perspective, from a mom perspective, as the owner of a company that creates travel products, specifically, for, I know they're for children, they're for the elderly, they're for really they're for pets. What piece of advice or what information could you share with us, for our listeners to take away? Like, what is the most important thing that listeners could take away from the show today, other than buy my travel sticks?
Yeah, other than buy the travel
Shameless
sticks.
endorsement.
It's just make sure you've organized yourself before you take off, whether it's for the office or for a trip, because the reward is a sense of security when the plane takes off or the train, pulls away from the station, and you've covered all the bases and created a safety net.
You mean a safety net as?
A safety net for your kids, for your pets, for yourself. Something happens to you, you're responsible, and the people at your office and the people who will be able to make medical decisions for you will actually be contacted. And that way, you'll be more successful in everything that you do.
Well, I think, just not to have that worry, not to have that stress. I think of, traveling overseas, which I'm planning to do hopefully this summer. I'll get overseas for a little bit, and I need to leave my kids with the ex-husband and the girlfriend, and, to have all that information in one place, that would be really helpful for me to know that they could, get the care they need, they could provide, or for me traveling alone, if I'm in any way incapacitated, that I could, either have this on my person or, they look in my wallet if I'm unconscious. There's access to that, but also I'm a terrible loser of things. So, I hope I won't lose it, but, in the event that I lose my passport or something overseas, I remember traveling with a girlfriend one time who lost her passport, and it was difficult. It was difficult. I actually flew back, and she had to wait, and I left her in the other country because I needed to get back. But it is important. It is important, I think, to be prepared, especially when you're responsible for other people. If your parents are responsible for your kids, if your kids are left with somebody else, whether it's for summer camp, we're coming up on summer camp, I would think that would be a great place to send a kid with a travel stick.
I have a quick question.
Absolutely.
Do you think that both parents should have a travel stick on them, or do you think that there should just be one?
I'll tell you what we do in our family. I have one on me, and the kids each have one in their little wallets in their backpacks. Because, we've lived through 9/11 here in New York. We've lived through the Eastern, electricity, shutdown that lasted hours. And no one could use their cell phones for quite a long time, or internet or anything else. And by having the travel sticks, you don't need the internet to open them. You simply need a computer, which means that if they had a medical situation, someone could open the travel sticks, get their medical info, and treat them, or me for that matter. And so, I really recommend, and that's why we've priced them so affordably, because we want to make sure that if you have a family.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off because we are out of time. We need to get ready for the next show. Linda will bring you back as a guest again to talk about all this travel information, and we are done for next week. Or this week.
Thank you for being a part of Motherhood Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Christy Holly, part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com.